We're so lucky to have Mary. It's a delight to work with her, a pleasure to have all our helpers here, and I have to thank you very profusely. We publish 30 journals. Our oldest, World Affairs, you may know, it goes back to 1837, and our first conference was in 1839. They're still talking. And they haven't resolved anything, but we also publish about 160 books a year, some of which are yours, and we're glad to do that. I know some of you today have come great distances. If we can be of any use to you, we certainly wish to. Just ask at the desk. I know some of you, it's your first visit to Washington. I hope you enjoy it. It has wonderful things. And if we can be helpful, we want to. And to our military guests and our law enforcement guests, I especially want to give a warm welcome. We appreciate deeply your service. These things are used in a wider world in that the videos and transcripts are disseminated into classrooms. And in about 100 countries of the world, all of our material is given free, so that if you're in southern Sudan or in Bangladesh, you have online availability to all of our publications and to our conferences. Our conferences occur 17 times a year. In the back of your program, there are a few of those coming up, but not all 17, which you can see on our website. And I very cordially invite everyone here today to all of them. Should you be so lucky, some of them are in Paris and Leiden and Manila and Bangkok. Perhaps you can persuade people that they should send you there. We'll look for you. All of these events, we try to combine professors along with business leaders and think tank leaders, people like you, that should be talking back and forth and aren't. We especially welcome you because you are not present at all these academic meetings, but you are at ours, and we're lucky to have you. We think we're very lucky when you come here today like you have, and these are such very, very important issues. I think the world of learned societies and the professorate, which I represent, has a lot to answer for in not reaching out. I go to conferences and the press are not there. They're here today. The business community is not there, and they're here today. The military community and the law enforcement community are not there, and they're here today. And I think this is a terrible waste of the kind of leadership you bring and the kind of things you say and that we should be hearing. And I think it enlivens the classroom and helps things immensely. And when I was a student at Harvard, one day they actually invited a businessman to talk. It was really like bringing a zebra. I've never forgotten it. I've forgotten all the lectures, but I still remember what he had to say. So we need to reach across. We work extensively with online education, and today we have present, I would consider, if not the world leader, a world leader in online, President Wallace Boston of the American Public University System, which includes the American Military University, a large campus network of nursing education facilities, and the American Public University. When we began cooperating, online education was regarded as somewhat outside the normal. It has now become de rigueur. And at Harvard, we have lots of online courses, at MIT, of course, at Johns Hopkins, and Oxford University, where I am a governor, now has 18,000 online students. And after all, Oxford's 900 years old, so you can teach new tricks. I'd like to call down Dr. Boston now. I can't say enough for his leadership in American education, and it is a great honor to have him with us today.
Thank you for that great introduction, Paul. And now I'm going to try to take the 15 minutes allotted to me and cut it down so we get back on schedule. In the 10 years that the Policy Studies Organization has been holding this conference, I think Paul's mentioning online and just talking about higher education in general. It's amazing how much research and universities have changed beyond what we could have anticipated. A good example, as mentioned by Paul, is online courses and scholarship, which in 2007, quite frankly, we've been doing this since 1993, but in 2007 we still had some skepticism about the value. And in addition to Oxford, as you mentioned, Paul, most people don't know that Harvard University's extension program has nearly 20,000 students. Cornell's eCornell has over 15,000 students. MIT, through its edX or MITx, has students in the tens of thousands, and sometimes particular courses in hundreds of thousands. Johns Hopkins, Oxford, etc. And worldwide, an enormous growing number of people are completing their education or taking part of their education online. So there's really, at this point in time, in December, November of 2017, it's really almost the opposite. It's not a question of validity. It's saying that if you lack online access, it's a handicap. And also in some countries, the lack of a reliable national grid underlining the internet is a handicap as well. That progressing to have those grids is really, really important and vital, particularly in continents with lower levels of education, such as Africa. For example, 10 years ago, using the Policy Studies Organization, all the publications were mainly paper. Today, over 30 journals are available electronically and online. PSO, I've been told, maintains offices in places like Manila, Hong Kong, Leiden, Ottawa, and students at my degree, at my institution, pursue their degrees from over 130 countries, all because of technology. Changes have really meant extraordinary geographic expansion and participation. Two of the PSO journals, Internet Learning and Global Security and Intelligence Studies, are edited by faculty members at my institution living many miles from our campus in Charlestown, West Virginia. The proofing's done in India, translations are done in China and Mexico City, and artwork is done in North Carolina. Article submissions come from everywhere, and revisions get back and forth in days rather than once was months. And so looking at the focus of this summit on the security of the national grid and related issues of national importance, I can't stress how it's important for an institution like PSO to bring all of you together and to have this interface, as Paul said, between business and military and government and academics. It's really vital that the interchange occur, and I'm proud to say that in the 9+ years that I've been attending, you know, I've seen a lot of helpful dialogues, and not just continue in vital research, but partnerships between a number of entities and persons in looking to do something that perhaps as a nation our politicians have been a little behind on. You know, the idea of meeting and having meetings like that is that you can get the proceedings. I think all of you at your registration today have the proceedings from last year's summit, and we're recording this, streaming it, making it available for classrooms and other folks who want to participate in the discussion beyond today's meeting. You know, I think progress is never without the feeling that the obvious is not taken to heart, and that our well-being as a community and nation is unnecessarily risked by resistance to improvement and change. So with this annual gathering, I think it's important to note that this historic mansion was originally the home of Sarah Adams Whitmore, a descendant of President John Adams and of Miles Standish of Plymouth Rock fame, and it was a social center of Washington, D.C. when she owned it. Later, Republican Congressman John Weeks lived here. He happened to be the Secretary of War in the Harding and Coolidge administrations and authored the Weeks Act of 1911. And Congressman Weeks, just to show you the dialogue, he probably didn't have a lot of access to academics and business people and other, because he wrote a statement: Pershing won World War I without even looking into an airplane, let alone going up in one. If they'd been of such importance, he'd have at least tried a ride. We'll stick to the Army on the ground and the battleships at sea. Well, a few years later, in World War II, we know what happened with the air war over Europe. So all of us, with all of our education and intelligence, none of us can anticipate what technology is going to do in the years ahead. However, together we can probe. I love the presentation from the gentleman just before me, and question, and with the knowledge we have, we can try to help answer the policy questions that are so troubling. That is all, as a university president, that I can ask of our students and their future careers, and of our faculty who are imparting their knowledge to those students. I can just suggest that that's all we can ask of ourselves. The fact that we've been doing this here for 10 years and we're still thinking of new ideas is a tribute to all of you, and a good reason to mark this 10th anniversary of the summit. And I think that I want to note in my parting remark that here's a salute to all of you, to 10 years well done, and to the hope for many more years. Thank you.